Circle prospecting, I think, is the most natural addition to lead generation for any agent. And the reason I got into circle prospecting was this idea of, okay, I have one piece of business. How do I turn it into 2 or 3 pieces of business? Let's use this piece of news, this listing in this neighborhood, and let's call all the neighbors. And that's basically the process of circle prospecting, right? Is taking some piece of news you have, a new listing, an under contract, or just sold in a neighborhood, and calling all the neighbors to let them know, hey, I did some business in your neighborhood, and that's going to affect the value of your home. And do you have any questions about that? And we just found it to be one of the most successful ways to get additional business from anything that we already had.
Hi everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Vulcan 7 Coaches and Mentors, where we bring you some of the best in the industry to share with you their tips and strategies so that you can implement in your business immediately. With that being said, if you haven't caught up on our previous episodes, make sure to watch them on YouTube or listen to them on your favorite streaming platforms. Now, with that being said, today we're going to be talking about a topic that perhaps some of you might be neglecting, and that is circle prospecting. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and bring on today's guest, Dan Demott. So, Dan, welcome.
Hey, Loida, how are you?
Doing great. We're really excited to have you on today's episode. So for everyone that's listening that maybe is not familiar with you, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. My name is Dan Demont. I'm the owner of the Home Source team. And I've passed Vulcan 7 guest on the roadshow. And Vulcan 7 has been a big part of our business. I started as a solo agent like everyone else in 2018, calling my database, and working every lead I could. But our business really took off when we started circle prospecting with Vulcan 7. And over a period of 4 years, we went from, again, as a solo agent to building a team, doing over $1 million of GCI and $35 million of volume. And circle prospecting was a big part of that. And I have taught my team to do it and since gone on to be a team lead and help other agents grow and implement circle prospecting in their business.
That's awesome. And it's so exciting to hear the success that you have had with circle prospecting, because sometimes agents focus maybe on just one or two other lead sources and they kind of think, circle prospecting, I'll get to it whenever I have time. So can you kind of share with us what, your strategy looked like, or what even made you want to focus on that and how you leverage circle prospecting?
Absolutely. So here's why circle prospecting, I think, is the most natural addition to lead generation for any agent. Let me make that case first. Most agents get a piece of business from their database, someone they know, sphere of influence, referral, something like that. And the reason I got into circle prospecting was this idea of, okay, I have one piece of business. How do I turn it into 2 or 3 pieces of business, right? And so anything that came out of my database, I was always looking for a way, okay, how can I leverage this? Traditionally, at the time I had a coach and he said, you should host open houses. And that just wasn't my thing. But we decided that, you know what, let's use this piece of news, this listing in this neighborhood, and let's call all the neighbors. And that's that's basically the process of circle prospecting, right? Is taking some piece of news you have, a new listing, an under contract, or just sold in a neighborhood, and calling all the neighbors to let them know, hey, I did some business in your neighborhood, and that's going to affect the value of your home. And do you have any questions about that? And we just found it to be one of the most successful ways to get additional business from anything that we already had.
That's awesome. So how often were you doing this?
We would do it on every one of our listings and continue to do that today. Depending on how active the market is or how quickly things turn over, will guide how much of that process we can complete. But generally, we're trying to reach out to all the neighbors when we list the property, when we go under contract, and then again when it closes.
So I know whoever's listening, they might be wondering, are you calling the same people every time? Like, hey, we just listed, hey, we went under contract, hey, we sold? Or do you change it up also?
Yeah, no, we're calling the same people. Anybody who's done any amount of cold calling knows you can't get them all in one shot. And so we want everyone to know, one, we're going to be persistent. 2, we're calling with information that's relevant to them, and so they should give us a chance. And also, just never know how timing works out. Sometimes people can't answer the phone the first time, but they can the second or third time. With that process, we also back it up with postcards. So we're sending postcards out to those same people that we're calling on Vulcan 7. And so they're seeing our name, they know why we're calling, they're seeing the progress of our listings.
So another question that I think people are probably wondering is, or they probably think, I think circle prospecting, maybe you get a lead here and there, but they take a long time to convert. Did you ever get any people that were like, you know what, I actually am thinking about selling or buying, or was it like a fast turnaround, or what did that kind of look like?
Yeah, I would say more often than not, they are fast turnarounds, right? So the misperception is that circle prospecting is slow, long-term nurture, and you do get some of those. You do get a lot of those, um, which I always place tremendous value on. If I can start a relationship with someone, put them in my database, and nurture them over the long term, that's a great lead. But you end up getting a lot of people who are ready to transact in the short term. And what I always loved about circle prospecting is those people self-identify. So when you call someone and say, "Hey, we just listed your neighbor's house. It went under contract in a week, and I'm just calling to see if you have any questions about what that means for you." Those people who are most serious are the ones who are most likely to say, "Yes, actually, I do have questions. What can you tell me about that sale?" And so the conversation naturally flows from that because you're addressing a concern or a need that they have in the short term.
Awesome. So I want to do a little role play. That way people can
Yeah,
kind of see how your conversations go. So I'll be the homeowner and you can just ask me, tell me whatever it is that you usually do.
absolutely. So let's go for it. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Loida, this is Dan Demont with the Home Source team. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Excellent, thanks. Hey, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I just sold your neighbor's home at 123 Main Street. It was a record high sale. We got it under contract in 2 weeks. I'm just calling to see if you have any questions about what that sale means for the value of your home.
Wow. It went under contract in 2 weeks. How much did it sell for?
It did. We sold it for $650,000. It was 20,000 over the asking price.
Oh, wow. I didn't think it was worth that much. I mean, how much do you think my home might be worth then?
Absolutely. There's tremendous demand for the neighborhood. So listen, if you're curious as to what it means for the value of your home, as you should be, here's what I'd love to do. I'd love to send you over some information on our sale. Take a look at it and let me know how your home compares to that one, right? Do you have a different model? Do you have any upgrades you've done? And then let's get on the phone tomorrow and talk about what the value of your home could be. Does that sound like a good plan?
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. That works.
Fantastic. What's the best email for me to send that to?
Loida@yahoo.com.
Excellent. And tomorrow would 3 o'clock be good or is 4 o'clock better?
Probably later. So maybe 4 o'clock. You can circle back then.
Perfect. So I'm going to get this email out to you today, Loida. And tomorrow at 4 o'clock, let's have a call. You're going to let me know exactly how your home compares to this one. And then I'll be able to give you an accurate assessment of what your home is worth.
Okay. Awesome. Thank
Awesome.
you.
I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate you doing that role play. I think it's great for our agents and people listening to kind of see an interaction to get an idea also on the verbiage and just how easy it sounds. You're not asking already questions like where do you think you would be moving to or any of that. Do you do that on purpose where you try not to ask too much to not blow them away?
Yeah, exactly. Here's the number one thing that I find agents make a mistake with when they get on the phone is they're trying to close for something bigger than they've earned the trust for. So if I'm calling you out of the clear blue sky, you're not expecting my call. Great, I'm calling you with information that's relevant to you. But how much can I really ask you, right? I haven't earned that trust yet. So what I always teach agents is we just want to close for the next step, right? So from where we are on a cold call, we want to close for a follow-up call. From the follow-up call, if that goes well, then I want to close to come out and see your house. And on that follow-up call, maybe I'll ask some more questions about what your motivation is and how soon you're thinking about moving or why you're thinking about moving. But I always want to go one step at a time because uh, with the script that we just went through, we're building the foundations of trust. I said I'm going to send you something. You said you're going to review it and get back on the phone with me. So we've both made a small promise to each other. And as long as we both agree to honor that, we're building trust as we move forward. From that next call, then I want to build even more trust and hopefully get the opportunity to come meet with that person.
Yeah, it's almost like you're taking little baby steps, and then the person sees, okay, this agent Dan, he's not really pushing to try to sell my house. I mean, I don't even know who he is, but at least I can find out more about the home that he sold, and then that
That's
just
right.
makes a conversation continue.
That's right. And when we send that email, we're going to include a link to our profiles and our reviews and give a little summary of our team, along with the information about the recent sales in the neighborhood. And it invites that conversation. And naturally, what we find is, one of two things happens. When we get on that call, where that person's going to say, well, I have upgrades, or I have this bigger floor plan, or whatever the case may be, which is great. Now they're giving you details, so you can better value their home. Or they're going to say, you know what, I just kind of wanted some information. I'm really not looking to sell in the short term. I'm more of a longer term, maybe a year from now or something like that. So it helps us. Lowers the stakes and helps us categorize people in the right categories. The other big benefit, though, is when people no show. So anybody who's made a lot of cold calls knows, you book an appointment, they cancel on you, or they don't show up, or whatever the case may be. By making it a small step, and by saying we're just going to build the foundation of trust, I'm going to send you an email, you're going to agree to talk to me again. We have a really high show rate on those calls. And when people don't show, I always teach my agents, just message back, are you okay? Because Loida, if you told me you'd get on the phone with me tomorrow at 4 o'clock and I sent you the email and you don't show up, I'm going to assume that something must have gone wrong, because you're a great person and you wouldn't have promised me to get on the phone with me if you didn't mean it. And what we find is, when we send that message, are you okay? Sometimes it takes a day, but always people are like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Let's reschedule. I want to get back on the phone with you. So people will honor their promises if you honor yours.
Yeah. And I love that entire process, because even as we role played, if I was a homeowner, I would think that, this is something casual. I'm going to get information. I don't have to do anything. And I love the "Are you okay?" text message, because it's almost like they see, oh man, I forgot about Dan. Let me get back to him. Or, you know what? Something came up, or actually, I'm not interested, or whatever it is. But at least they respond to you, and now you know where to take the conversation, or if there's someone that you want to pursue, right?
Exactly right. I generally, if we back up at a higher level, I try to always explain to agents, I put everybody in one of two categories. Either we're going to do business right now, or eventually we're going to do business. And in real estate, our sales cycles are so long, right? You might need to nurture a relationship with someone for 3, 4, 5 years before they're ready to sell their home. We can't be transactional. We have to be relational, right? So I want to develop a personal relationship with someone. I want that person to trust me as an individual. I want to bring them value, and I want to do that over a long enough period of time, because if I do that, I will get the transaction.
Exactly. Awesome. So let's say there's maybe a newer agent that's watching or listening to this, and they're like, you know what? I don't have any listings. I haven't sold anything. I'm a solo agent kind of on my own. What would you recommend for them to do when it comes to circle prospecting?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the great thing. It works just as good if it's not your listing. The odds are most agents are not doing this. So if you want to break into a neighborhood, or you're just getting started, um, do a little bit of research, go on the MLS, find the recent sales, find what's important about them. Were they on the market for a short period of time? Did they sell for a record high price? Really understand the market, and then circle prospect based on that information. So instead of saying, I I sold your neighbor's home at 123 Main Street, I'm going to say, did you know that the house at your neighbor's home at 123 Main Street sold, and it was a record high price, or it sold in 10 days, right? So you don't have to be the agent who actually did that transaction. The information is just as valuable to the homeowner.
There you go. So if you're listening to this, definitely rewind, replay, rewatch up to this point, so that you know exactly what to say and what to do. Now, Dan, I know that a couple minutes ago you mentioned that you send out also postcards, right?
hmm
Is there anything else that you sent out, or what does that look like in terms of, let's say you got someone on the phone? When is the first postcard going out, and how many are you sending out?
Yeah, so I like to send postcards, of course, a just listed postcard or an open house postcard, depending on how the timing works out. So as soon as the listing hits the market, we're going to put that postcard out. When we go under contract, we're going to send another postcard that we went under contract. And then after we close, we'll send a postcard there as well. And again, in given the time, depending on the timing of the transaction, but given the opportunity, we're going to want to send all three of those postcards and make calls to go with them.
Mhm. So does it ever happen where you're making calls and a homeowner says, "Oh yeah, I actually did get your postcard and I have it here."
All the time, all the time. Yeah.
I'm sure that that's exciting because it just shows that, what you're doing is working and now they're remembering you. So by the time they ever do decide to do something, you'll probably be the first one that pops in their mind for real estate.
Yeah, it's about frequency in all things. When I coach agents on database or social media or circle prospecting, it's all the same. At a fundamental level, it's about message and frequency. And frequency is probably more important than what the message is. Um, you know, you have to always remember that someone gets a postcard, they look at it. If we're lucky, they're going to look at it for 4 or 5 seconds before they throw it in the trash can. One time is likely not enough, but over the course of 3 times, you've made an impact. And if you have if somebody has 3 postcards and 2 missed calls from you, they are far more likely to know who you are on the third phone call than if that was your first call.
Exactly. So let's say there's an agent that says, you know what, I want to target a higher price point because my neighborhood or somewhere around me is just a little bit lower. I want to take it to the next level. What would you suggest for them to do?
I would suggest you follow this exact same process and script. I have coached agents who are using it at every price point. I have an agent that I coach who's gotten 3, 4, and $5 million listings using this exact same script. It turns out that regardless of how expensive a home is, human behavior is the same. Everyone's curious about what their neighbor's home sold for and what it means for them.
Awesome. So, Dan, I want you to also share with us any coaching, any programs that you have, because obviously this has been great information regarding circle prospecting. And I know that you're also an expert, in database marketing, social media. So tell us a little bit more about your coaching. And I'm sure that we're going to bring you back so we can have another conversation on a different topic.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love that. Yeah, anyone is free to check me out on social media on Instagram and Facebook at Dan Demott, or you can go to my website, dandemont.com. I give away a ton of free resources on lead generation, scripts, circle prospecting, database marketing, social media. And we also have 2 group coaching. We have a group coaching program, and then I also do selectively one-on-one coaching with agents. But the best way to get started is go get all my free resources. If anybody wants a copy of this script, we have it written out. They can send me a direct message, and we'll get a copy to them. I've had so many agents reach out to me after the last time I was on the Vulcan 7 Roadshow. And I love to help them. I share my scripts and resources with everyone. And from there, we can assess if it makes sense for someone to participate in one of our coaching programs.
Awesome. And we're going to make sure to put all of your links in the description box below. So, Dan, thank you once again for this amazing session, sharing with us your tips on circle prospecting. We'll definitely bring you back so we can talk about marketing and social media. So, for those of you that are watching, make sure to go and check out all of the things that Dan offers. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.